2021, we explored Iceland on a 2-week road trip. But this was a road trip with a difference. I wanted to explore Iceland's coasteering. Did the coastline of this stunning island in the North Atlantic have some amazing coasteering secrets waiting to be discovered? Right, we've got a lot to cover. Not only did we have to circumnavigate Iceland in just 2 weeks, along the way we had to take in its incredible scenery, search for some epic coasteering, and not least of all witness the incredible 2021 volcanic eruption. So let's get started. My fiancée Emily and I flew from London to Keflavik. Our plan was to drive the Iceland Ring Road clockwise, but first we would spend a few days exploring the Reykjanes Peninsula from our base in Keflavik. So how do you go about exploring the coasteering of a country you pretty much know nothing about? I couldn't find any information online about coasteering in Iceland, so if anyone had done any previously, they certainly hadn't left any record of it. So it was basically down to Google Maps and looking at as many photos of Iceland's coastline as I could to try and highlight any areas that were worth investigating. Our first stop was the Hafnarberg sea cliffs near Keflavik. They're an amazing range of cliffs full of caves and arches and other cool features. Did have shallow boulders, it looked like, throughout its length though, which is never too much fun. But more importantly, the swell was massive and the swell was going to stay that way for the next few days, so we were not going to be able to get in during those first few days in the Reykjanes Peninsula. Not to worry, we still have plenty of things to do and see in the Reykjanes Peninsula, not least of all maybe Iceland's most popular tourist attraction. I am, of course, talking about the Blue Lagoon, and I must admit I was sceptical at first. I wasn't sure it was for me, but I wholeheartedly recommend it. It was brilliant fun, really good. In fact, we enjoyed it so much, Emily and I, we actually went twice. We went this first time during the early part of the visit, and we actually went again after we'd completed the ring road. So definitely make sure you include the Blue Lagoon on your itinerary if you're going to Iceland as well. Day 3 of the trip started with a recce of the Brimkettle lava pool area. It looked like an amazing bit of coasteering. I really would have liked to have got in, but the swell was still absolutely raging, as you can see here. But what a stretch of coastline. So spoiler alert, make sure you watch the other videos in this series on coasteering in Iceland, because I did actually get the chance to go in at the Brimkettle lava pools and actually do the coasteering. So check that out later on. Now we booked our trip to Iceland, and then out of the blue, a volcano started erupting in the Reykjanes Peninsula. I'm sure you all have heard about the 2021 Fagradalsfjall eruption. You have to forgive my pronunciation there, that is my best attempt. But we were super excited to see it. It was, we were very hopeful of seeing an eruption itself. It hadn't erupted actually for some time when we first arrived. But nonetheless, we set about going to the site and having an explore, and it was absolutely amazing. So here's what happened. In actual fact, the volcanoes became such a big part of our Iceland holiday, it would be impossible to fit them all into this video. I actually made 2 separate videos on my other channel all about the volcanic eruption, so make sure you go and check them out as well. I'll put the link in the description, and yeah, please go and enjoy them. It was time to leave Reykjanes. Next on the itinerary were the sites of Iceland's Golden Circle. This includes the Thingvellir National Park, where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates meet. In addition, the site has major historical importance for the nation of Iceland as the site of Iceland's first parliament. We also visited the site from which all erupting hot springs get their name, Geysir. Geysir doesn't erupt anymore, but there goes his younger brother Stokkr. And of course we visited the mighty Gullfoss, where on average 140 cubic metres of water plunge over the falls every second. We then set off on the long drive to Husavik on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula in search of more coast-steering opportunities. Here we are in Husavik. This is on the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. It's the second major stop on our tour of Iceland with some coast steering. Haven't had any luck in our first place in Reykjanes, so about to go and explore some coastline to the west of here. Really excited. The seas look really calm. Fingers crossed. Emily had decided to go on a whale watching trip, so in the meantime I set off exploring, trying to find somewhere for us to go coast steering later that day. First up, I had a look at the Egilstaddir sea cliffs. Now this area looked really promising. Superb cliffs, loads of amazing features. Look at that arch and stack. So this was a definite possibility. Moving on, I came to a place called Husavik Beach, and actually Iceland does have some classic golden sandy beaches. Look at this, amazing. And the cliffs here also look quite promising, so it was at this stage a toss-up between the two, between here and Egilstaddir. Not content with that, I headed out further west, right to the sort of westernmost tip of the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. I was getting properly rattled about on these gravel roads, but they took me all the way out to the Svartiloft Lighthouse. An amazing area of cliffs. These cliffs were stunning, full of, as you can see, sea stacks, gigantic caves. However, there was no way down and the cliffs were immense. And look there, we've got that sort of boulder stuff, same as we saw at Hafnarberg, so they were not going to be the one. Afternoon in Husavik. Why am I preparing dinner in the middle of the day? It's because we're hopefully going for our first coast steer shortly. So when we get that late, we're going to have a lovely sweet potato curry waiting for us. Found 2 potential sections of coastline. I think the one we're going to do is near a little village called Egilstaddir. Really nice bit of coastline, lovely steep, lots of features. So should be good. Right, we're off coast steering out of Egilstaddir. We are making the most of this one-time opportunity while our kit's dry to get changed. I can't open the door. Get changed in the house. So we're lovely and toasty before we get started. Right, let's do it. Here we are, subarctic coast steering. We are currently trying to find an easy way down. That is not it. I think over here we may have. Yay, we're on. We found a very reasonable way down. So let's get cracking. Right, coast steering in Iceland, here we go. craziness that is Iceland. So as we sort of got acquainted with the landscape, these steep black basalt cliffs, and headed down until we finally found a way into the water. Found this tiny little coastal waterfall on the way. That obviously needed a quick look. Now it certainly looked like the swell had picked up a bit since this morning. It was certainly okay to go coasteering, but we were going to be kept on our toes, and then we were in. We were coasteering in Iceland. Maybe the first people to do it. So here we go, here's our first Icelandic sea cave, albeit quite a small one. But it had to be explored. Negotiating the swell to get out. It was certainly an ominous place down here. Very black, foreboding cliffs, and obviously quite a grey day, very dark waters, lots of seaweed. Look at that arch, amazing. To add to the foreboding nature of the landscape, every rock surface seemed to be covered in some kind of slimy seaweed, which didn't help. First jump of the day into another cave. Just checking out the cave, we're swimming around the corner, bit of a swell to battle round this corner, and then we find ourselves in this sort of nice bay, swimming along these sheer basalt cliffs. You can kind of see the classic sort of polygonal jointing basalt is known for here and there, which is very, very cool. Sort of huge overhang, not quite a cave, but almost. There's really cool atmosphere in this bay. And then, as we got to the other side, realised there was actually an archway going through the headland. So this was a real find. These are the kind of things I love, caves and archways. Archways in particular, archways or through caves. Always great value and always need to be explored. This was actually quite a complex cave. It had several sort of openings, but this was the sort of main one at sea level we decided to negotiate. As I often ask myself, like, how many people have been through this thing? And the answer is going to be a handful at most. So this is coming around the other side of that cave through another of its entrances, and we were briefly ashore, scrambling across some basalt ledges. And then we reached this kind of, not quite a sea stack, but a sort of some kind of promontory with these arches going through it. Again, a complex little area with lots of, not just one tunnel, but actually several. So really cool. So sort of going down, having a closer look. And after looking at the big opening, my instinct led me to think the smaller one might be a bit more interesting. And indeed, we've got not just one exit, but a little micro exit as well. So no prizes for guessing which way we're gonna go. Of course, this is where the fun is. Through we go. Here comes Em. And then at the very end, we managed to make up for the lack of jumps with a pretty hefty one here. And we'd done it. That concluded our coast steer, our first coast steer in Iceland. So that concludes part 1 of the video. Stick around and make sure you check out part 2. See you there.